From Ashes, Chapter 4, 5 years earlier. The letter came, as letters do, in a plain white envelope, plastic window over the address. Doctor's office. Not again. Bills still trickled in from our 2 years of infertility treatments, things we thought we'd taken care of, things they'd messed up and we had to fix. I sighed and slid it with a penknife, expecting numbers, an hour-long phone call, an inconvenience. Instead, a stream of words. Not long, though they felt like forever. Not difficult, though I had to read them 3 times. An appointment. No, a follow-up appointment. To discuss Rachel's biopsy results. Biopsy. She hadn't mentioned such a thing, not one word. A mass. A mass requiring discussion. Requiring action, requiring an actual letter. I called her at work, no answer. Tried her cell, nothing. Hey Rach, I said to the voicemail, got a strange letter today, call me. Gabby stirred from her nap, and I checked my watch. She'd only been down for 30 minutes. I heard the scratchy scratch as she crawled down from her toddler bed and fiddled with the door. Daddy! I set the letter down, opened the door. Hey baby girl, that wasn't nearly a long enough nap. She looked it too, ruffled and grumpy. I want my bottle. No bottle today, I said, grabbing a sippy cup and filling it with milk. You've gotten too big. She pouted and her mouth twitched in a way that looked like it might turn to a whale. I shoved the sippy cup at her, tipping it into her mouth like a bottle. She sucked at it. The letter glared at me from the table and I glanced at my phone. No response from Rachel. Gabby lumbered into her high chair, then sat, like a queen awaiting her afternoon tea. I clipped on the tray, set the cup down, and dug through the fridge. I closed it, then realized I hadn't taken anything out. Her mouth was twitching again. What do you want for lunch today, Gabs? I asked. Gapes, she replied, poking at her sippy in a way that made little drops of milk fall onto her tray. I pulled out a few wrinkly grapes and grabbed a string cheese. I might call Auntie Kate to watch you this afternoon, I said, slitting the grapes in pieces so she wouldn't choke on them, then peeling open the wrapper for the cheese. I glanced at my phone again. Empty screen. I need to do a few errands. She poked a grape piece in the center with her finger, mashing it into the tray before trying to eat it, then whimpered slightly. I peeled off a strip of cheese and shoved it her direction, but she only had eyes for the grapes. Here's another, baby girl. She took it, repeating her actions exactly. You really needed a longer nap, I grumbled, scooping up my phone and calling my sister. Hey, Kate, you got the kids this afternoon? Oh, I've got the kids every afternoon, she replied, and I could hear the cacophony in the other room. My sister had not struggled with fertility issues. Fortunately, she ran the house like she was aiming for some type of military medallion. Think you have room for one more for an hour or so? Is she fed, napped, and changed? Kate asked. I looked at the pile of mashed grapes on her tray, several bits crusting along her cheeks and the fuzz we called hair. I'll change her right before I come. Sounds questionable, she replied. Where are you headed? Got called into work. No, you didn't. How did she always know? Cut my finger off. I'm headed to the ER. Keep trying, she said. Sordid affair with another woman, I deadpanned. Unlikely, she replied. But it does sound like you got in a fight with Rachel or something. No, I responded, looking at the letter. Not exactly. Not exactly, she said. Just a bad bit of mail. More than a phone call's worth of mail? I called. I couldn't get through, I replied, trying to make it seem like no big deal. I'm going to be here all afternoon, but I should warn you that Patrick's been puking all morning. I ran my hand through my hair, looking at Gabby's now thoroughly grape-encrusted head. I'll be gone probably less than an hour. You think you can keep them apart? Kate paused on the other line. Patrick's fine, she said. I just wanted to gauge how important this piece of mail was. You are a dirty liar, I said. She should have been a detective. That's what she should have been, a detective or a general or maybe a CIA agent. You're the one who said you'd been called into work. Just tell me you need help next time. Okay, I said, knowing it was still a lie. I hated to ask Kate for help. Hated how organized she was with 4 little kids underfoot when it felt like I could barely handle one. Hated how she knew everything all the time. It just feels like I need help a lot. We all need help a lot, Aiden. You don't need an excuse. I'll be there in about 15 minutes. No, you won't, she said. Gabby's probably going to need a bath first. I looked at my child with grape face, cheese stick mutilated and drying in her fingernails. Weren't those things supposed to be a neat snack? She let out the biggest fart known to humankind. Too big, in fact, to be just a fart, and my shoulders slumped. She would definitely need a bath. Rachel wasn't at work. She had left for lunch, and then, according to her receptionist, Macy, she'd had an appointment. I nodded, turning back through the double doors, feeling the letter in my pocket stiff and creased. I took it out in the sun, stared at the address on the masthead. Not far from here. My wife came out an hour later, looking rumpled and small. I'd created an entire battle plan, beginning with me hopping out of the truck, confronting her, demanding a reason for the secrecy. Instead, she saw me almost immediately, sitting there like a stalker. I watched her close her eyes, then tip her head back. I'd seen her do it before, tilting tears back into her eyes. She zipped up her jacket and walked toward me, as though I was some kind of magnet and she had to come, but she didn't want to. She stopped at the window, waited for me to roll it down. "Hey, babe," she said. That's all I wanted to shout. "You weren't at work," I said. "I called your cell too." "I know," she replied. "I just got your voice message." She waved back at the doctor's office. "Guess we should go for a drive." She walked slowly around the truck, opened the door, and let herself in. "You don't need to go back to work," I said. "Don't you have more appointments today?" "Nah," she replied, looking out the window. "I told Macy to cancel them, that I wouldn't be making it back today." I drove around the block, no words, none at all, coming into my head. She just stared out the window, misting it with her breath, with the heat of her face and cheeks. "So," I began as we wound out of town onto a curvy country road. "This letter." "Cancer," she said abruptly. "I have cancer." "And you were going to tell me when?" "I had hoped never," she replied, still not looking at me. "Seems like not really the right choice," I said. "Seems that way, doesn't it?" I cracked my neck, trying to relax, took a curve a little too fast. "Slow down," she said. I didn't, even though I knew I should. She noted my disobedience and didn't say anything else, though now she looked out of the front window, not the side, and her mouth had fallen into a flat, thin line. I'd hoped it was nothing. "But it's not nothing?" "It's not nothing," she replied. "And," I said, still angry, but also worried, really worried, and quiet. Why were we both being so quiet, so stupidly silent? "Slow down," she said again. And this time I did. "And," I repeated, my voice just beginning to rise. "I didn't want it to be something," she said. "We have established that," I said, my voice a tight clip. "And when it was something, I figured it still really wasn't, not until I got a chemo schedule or something. If they didn't need to do chemo, then it really would be nothing, and I could just not tell you." "But why?" I asked. "Why not tell me?" "I don't know," she replied, "because telling you made it feel more true." "Do you need chemo?" I asked, slowing carefully around the curve, looking for a place to stop, to pull over so I could see her face. "Starts Monday," she said quietly. The old quick shop rose up to the right, and I pulled into the cracked and weedy parking lot. "Surgery?" I asked. "No," she replied as I slipped into a faded parking spot. "Well, that sounds pretty good," I said, putting the truck into park and turning to look at my wife. But seeing her face, I knew it was not good, not even a little. I frowned. "Why is not having surgery bad?" "Because the cancer is too far spread," she replied. "There's no one thing for them to take out. They're not sure where it started, though. It could have had something to do with why we were having so many problems having a baby. At any rate, it's spread to my uterus now." "So you've been hiding this from me for months?" I said, my voice cranking up another notch. She turned back to the window, the movement stiff, robotic. "It's only been 2 weeks, Aiden. A couple of appointments." The fire flared, then left. 2 weeks?" I whispered. "Then how has it spread so much?" She turned back to me, smiled, the saddest face I'd ever seen. "Because it's been there for much longer than that, the cancer. I just didn't notice. I went in for my yearly and they found a few lumps, and then she shrugged, looking just like a little girl. It was already everywhere. I cried then. It should have been her crying. It should have been me reaching up to hold her, to tell her it was going to be all right, that we would beat this horrible thing. Isn't that what tall, strong firefighter guys were supposed to do? Comfort their wives who had cancer. Instead, I leaned my forehead onto the steering wheel, shoulders shaking, and my sick wife leaned down over my back and shoulders, cheek to my hair. "It's okay, Aiden," she said. "It's going to be okay."